she wants to impress her. I'm like, it was cute 20 years ago when you were trying to find your way. It's not cute now at all. And it's not part, it shouldn't be part of the storyline. Okay. I didn't get the whole going ass backwards. And then, like I said, the devil always wins. Well, the Devil Wears Prada #2 has come out, if in case you haven't heard. And I saw it. I dragged myself to the theater again after going to the theater last weekend to see Michael. And since I haven't been to a theater in a long time and I had a good experience, I figured let me go check out this movie and see if I can get the same warm, fuzzy feelings like I did. And unfortunately, I got feelings. They weren't warm and they were a lot of fuzzy. So let's get into it. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lena and I hope that you enjoyed this video. And for everyone that's new to my channel, I rate different types of TV shows and movies. And I'm here to bring you The Devil Wears Prada 2. And for all those who have been with me, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. This movie, I don't know what I was expecting. It is more like The Devil Always Wins. So just to give you some context, I did watch the first one a very long time ago, not when it was out in theaters. And it was a sleeper hit for me. I enjoyed it. I'm not big into the fashion scene, but I did appreciate it. It was, for those who have not seen it or don't remember watching the first one, it was a nice story about a girl who, wants to be a journalist, and she falls ass backwards into the fashion industry, who is played by a editor-in-chief, Meryl Streep, Miranda. It's a completely different world for her. She's not into all that fashion stuff, and she tries to fight it in the beginning, gets tortured by not only her, but the character Emily Blunt, and the name of the character is also Emily, and Stanley Tucci, who is the somewhat uncle, I wouldn't say father figure, but more of an uncle figure. She picks herself up from her bootstraps and puts on some fashionable clothing, and she starts to transition into the people that she was making fun of originally. She becomes a completely different person. She becomes completely subservient to Miranda. And it goes through the waves of her being naive when she walked into the job of being her assistant and the whole fashion industry and corporate, to slowly adjusting to a point where it became very dark for her because she was doing the things that she thought she would never ever fall into. Kissing up to Miranda, backstabbing Emily, running around acting as if, she's the most fashionable plate in the world, losing her boyfriend at the time, and then, doing everything she can to save Miranda's job because she finds out that it was in jeopardy, and watching Miranda wiggle her way into doing different things that are not cool for any person, whether you're corporate or not. But because she has the power and she wants to remain in power, she wields that Devil Prada power everywhere. Okay, great beginning, great middle, now the arc. As the ending of the movie goes, Andy, which is played by Anne Hathaway, she decides that she does not want to be like Miranda, because as she starts to transition into her life or infiltrate her life more, she realizes that she may not be the person that she thought she was, in the sense that she's not happy. She's had failed marriages. She has kids she doesn't see. And all she does is work and try to control the environment of the magazine, which is called Runway, which, for all of you that don't know this, both the character that Meryl Streep plays and Anna Winthrop, which was at the time also the editor-in-chief of Vogue. So there was a parallel there. And, she realizes at the end that after she realized she backstabbed Emily to get into a place to help Miranda, that she doesn't want to do this, right? This is not her life. She wants to go back to her boyfriend. She wants to go back to journalism. And it was a very interesting ending where, she says she walks out of the taxi cab at an event that, Miranda was going to be, given accolades yet again. She ends up at a newspaper, and Miranda gave her a wonderful reference, and she was not expecting that. So at the end, they both look at each other in the New York City street. They both nod. We know that, Andy goes back to her boyfriend. They make up. And we presume that she just went on and did her journalism. She had respect for Miranda. Miranda had respect for her. And that was it. It was a great ending, and it could have been left at that, but no. So I was curious to see how they were going to parlay this into a second film. So here we go. Second film. It opens up. I'm not going to give too many spoilers. I'm just going to give you my overall feeling about this. Andy still, it is 20 years later, give or take, which means that they don't pick up where they left off, which is thank God. And she is about to get an award for her journalism, and unfortunately, she's also laid off for the same job, her and her team. So we also have the issue of Miranda, who is, the magazine Runway is about to get sold off. She has some sort of scandal with, a fast fashion company. And if anybody knows about fast fashion, it's all the Temu and Shein and H&M and all these quick fabric textiles that, just it's not good for the environment, not good for you. So in this movie, there's a lot of buzzwords that tries to make it relevant for today. We have the issue with fast fashion. We have the issue with journalism as a whole going down the crapper, which is why Andy loses her job, even though she just got an award. We have Runway, that is now a digital magazine. And all of this is being stirred up with AI. So you have all the buzzwords to make it relevant for today's generation or for today's timing. Does that make a good soup? No. Because in this convoluted storyline, we have Andy, who obviously is not with the boyfriend that we saw her with 20 years ago. They broke up. She loses her job. They just make a quick reference that she froze her eggs. That means that she doesn't have a family. She's still single, which is, there's nothing wrong with that, but I just find it interesting how they just threw that in there. They jettisoned it and then it was like nothing. Okay. She ends up having to go back to work at Runway to try to smooth over on a publicity level the issue that they encountered with supporting a fast fashion company, which they shouldn't have. Okay. She walks in to Miranda's office, which is exactly the same as it was 20 years ago. She's still in the same position. And Stanley Tucci's there. And Miranda doesn't remember her at all. She doesn't even remember her being called what she used to call her, which wasn't even by her name, because Miranda had this habit of calling all of her assistants Emily, who is the Emily Blunt character. So even if you had a different name, you were still Emily. Emily number 1, number 2, number 3, it doesn't matter. Okay, so we already set the tone. So Meryl Streep acting, she's priceless, but the character has needed to be toned down because she was very abusive in the first movie. We should all know that. She treated all her assistants like dog pile. And now we have a scene with HR trying to, calm or change Miranda in her tone. She finds it difficult. She has a new assistant that constantly reminds her that she can't say this, she can't say that. It was just like one of these clogging storylines that I'm like, okay, either you're going to be the devil or you're not. You can't half-ass this. So that was distracting. The color of this film, I can't tell you what's wrong. I just know that there's something wrong with it. Either they didn't use enough lighting, enough color. It was very distracting on some points of the film that I'm like, why can't I see this? Like, what's happening? And I wore my glasses. The dialogue, as much as they try to give you as much buzzwords, it's so clunky. so unrealistic. And I tell you this why. Because when I watched Devil Wears Prada 1, there's a scene where Andy is making fun of the fact that Miranda's team and Miranda are overthinking this belt. If anybody remembers the scene, Miranda puts in her place and says that outfit you're wearing, that belt, this it goes from the designer's eye all the way down to the runway, all the way down to the little shop that you probably purchased it and you don't even know it. That speech has always stayed with me. It was part of the movie that, though I never got into fashion the way I probably should have, it never left me. That's why I started watching the show Project Runway, because it gave me an appreciation for the work that goes into the details, even in some of the most ridiculous outfits and some of the haute couture and all that stuff. And even when I go buy something today, I always remember that part of the movie. It's a very, very unique way of speaking, though she was rude about it. But you know what? It was one of those powerful things that made you think that just because you think that you're not involved in the industry or you don't have an appreciation for it, you don't realize where or what something comes from until you know the history of it. In this movie, I get none of that. And there was no memorable speeches. There's a lot of cameos of people that are famous. Lady Gaga's in there. You know, she does a skit. Justin Theroux is in there. Emily's character, Emily Blunt's character, she's good. She actually was a refreshing thing, but her storyline was just stupid. The fact that the cost of almost losing Runway turns into this battle royale of which billionaire is going to buy the magazine, and there's literally a battle royale. There is deception, there's backstabbing amongst the girls, still with Emily and Miranda and Andy. And I'm like, so I learned nothing. The worst offender is Andy's character. She went from nodding to Miranda at the last movie, going into her life of journalism, losing her life after 20 years of journalism, going back to Miranda in a different position. But at the end of the day, she's still sucking up to her. She's still crying and, she wants to impress her. I'm like, it was cute 20 years ago when you were trying to find your way. It's not cute now at all. And it shouldn't be part of the storyline. Okay. I didn't get the whole going ass backwards. And like I said, the devil always wins, because that's what I felt like. I'm like, so no matter what, Miranda got her way. That's what I took from this movie. The devil got their way. That's it. There's references to the magazine being brought over by a millionaire that could be a Jeff Bezos reference, being taken over by AI completely. There is no history. There is no flashback of everything that's transpired in the last 20 years to either one of them or either three of them. They just all of a sudden, bam, Miranda's still in the same desk. Bam, Emily is married to a billionaire. Bam, we don't know what happened with the ex-boyfriend. We just know Andy is now working back at Runway. And Stanley Tucci's, hanging around, trying to be the great uncle. It was 2 hours long. I sat there and I was very distracted because between the coloring, the popping back and forth into different types of guest cameos, the storyline that was flimsy at best, the destruction of what happened in the last one, which they didn't pick up from, at least make fucking Andy excuse my language. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Give her a backbone. They, all of a sudden, what I took from this movie, I'm going to keep this short because you got to go see it yourself. And I'm going to tell you something. I regret going to the theater. I didn't want to waste my $15. I went to the matinee. I don't want to waste my money. This could have been put on streaming, to be honest with you. And I would have been okay with that. To go and sit there and watch this and just see all these different, they were trying so hard to be relevant that they've made it impossible to enjoy. I'm not going to lie. And that is my opinion. I know everybody else can have their own opinion. You may have enjoyed it. What I got out of this is that one, um, your work is your life. And another issue, Miranda, you know, her whole thing was she needed to stay relevant. She needed to stay at that job because she wanted to have her friends, her rich friends, and she wanted to have the power. The hell with the fact that she has a family. Now she's in another marriage and she has kids and she never pays attention to them and she's perfectly happy with that. I don't know what the messaging behind that is, but I couldn't shake this feeling, especially knowing that Anna Winthrop has now done a cover with Miranda or Meryl Streep because it's a light version of what her life is. And you know that she's no longer editor in chief of Vogue. And we also know that she has given up the Met Gala that's coming up on Monday. God help us. It was a weird sense of me feeling like I'm watching her version of how she has given up the title of editor in chief, how she's given up the Met Gala to Jeff Bezos and Toe, and how she tried to fight it. Maybe I'm completely off the cuff here, but it didn't seem like a story that was taken from what happened before to what's happening now. Like this fight to stay relevant, this fight, and I'm like, okay, but Miranda, it's okay to relax. She wouldn't do it. She wouldn't do it. She wouldn't do it. She can't because she doesn't want to be with her family. She doesn't want to be with her now her other husband, and she loves her job and she's happy to have her rich friends bail her out. Private jets. It's an addiction. It's literally an addiction that she can't get out of. That's what I took from that part of the story. The story from Andy, she never got rid of the devil. She fell right back into it too quickly. She was too easy and eager to fall right back into that whole minutia. And what I got from Emily is she held a grudge. She found a way to stick it to the devil. And at the end, they're all friends. This is what I took from the movie, so forgive me. They're all friends, but you know what they say? Keep your friends close, but keep your enemies even closer. Because it's very, very well understood that I'll be your friend until I need to backstab you and throw you down the gutter for the next one. But we're good, right? We're good? Good. We'll play along, we'll play house, we'll play friends, we go out, we take pictures, whatever the hell it is, but make no mistake, I will cut you. And that's how I took it from this movie. I'm like, and always work and never give up. Because why would you? When you have billionaire friends that can bail you out and you have private jets and you have money, you get to a level that you don't want to let that go because I don't know. She needs to be in the spotlight. And now how I envision their lives, because eventually another 20 years will come out and who's going to be running whatever version of One Way? Probably Emily. And then, Andy is still going to be trying to kiss now Emily's ass. This was not an ending to a perfectly standalone movie, Devil Wears Prada, or an extension of how has the last 20 years effect, which is what I wanted to see, the space that they each lived in, journalism as a whole and fashion. I think that they could have done a lot better telling that story and let Miranda freaking live. My God. It was like almost an introduction to the Met Gallery and what the behind the scenes stuff that happens back there between the backstabbing and, the BS and, the fashion. And I saw more fashion in the Met Gala last year than I saw in this entire film. Horrendous. Like there was the first movie, it had some striking tones to it. It was really pretty cool. Again, it didn't make me want to run out and buy Prada. That's for sure. I'm not going to do that. But it gave me an appreciation that I'd never really thought about. This movie gave me a sense of sadness that I never want to think about. Um, it wasn't fun enough for me to say, I'm going to go watch it again. If it comes up on streaming and it's in one of the apps that I have, which I believe is going to be HBO, I think so. I don't even know. I don't know. I will rewatch it, sit back, with a glass of wine and some popcorn and, try to watch it that way. And maybe something will pop out of it that will make me change my mind. But from first watch, sitting there, people in the theater were not really engaged. I can see a lot of people checking their phones, which was really strange. I'm not gonna lie to you, because I tried not to keep my phone on at all. I'll put it on airplane mode. I don't like to do that because, God forbid, something happens, and I realize it's a 2-hour movie. But there was not a lot of oomph, and maybe because I went to a theater that doesn't really follow the whole story of Devil Wears Prada, but there wasn't a lot of engagement. And people left the theater and they were like, yeah, but nobody was really talking about it, and I was like, maybe because I went in the matinee and this is not the audience, and maybe the younger crowd, I don't know how the younger crowd feels about this. I don't know if anybody's going to resonate with this movie, but from a personal standpoint, when you are happy the way your life is and you have a family that you have never been happy to have, that saddened me. And from a standpoint of you coming up, Andy, you know, changing, getting out from under the grips of the devil, and then you fall right back into the grips of the devil, and you're just trying to be the same person you were 20 years ago. Emily, like I said, as an actress, Emily Blunt, she's great. It was an interesting story arc that she had, but it's not a soup that I'm going to eat again. So let me know if you actually saw this movie and if you have any things that I missed, or did you feel the same way, or are you planning to see it? That's why I'm trying not to give too much away. If you go and see it, come back here and let me know, drop a comment below. Is it a fun watch? I mean, if you don't think about the first one and you just look at it for the trying to be relevant now, sure. I can't tell you how to feel. I can only tell you how I felt, and I did not have fun. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'm so sorry it was a downer. I was looking forward to it. I actually am going to watch The Devil Wears Prada right now in a few minutes because I want to go back to that life. I want to go back to that speech that she made about the belt. I think that is so relevant, even today. I still like Project One Way. I still watch that show, and I do have a lot of respect for that industry because it's not easy to create fashion. It's not easy to design. It's not easy to think of these things the way that they do. And I don't think this movie gave that true appreciation of the fashion and the people behind it and how it works. I think I would have enjoyed that much better. So thank you, everyone. I hope that you have a wonderful weekend, and let me know if you saw it, going to see it, or now you just don't even care. Talk to you soon, everyone. Goodbye. Have a blessed day, week, month, year. See you soon.